The incessant pounding on my door at 2 a.m. could only mean one thing. Violet was back. I pulled my pillow over my head, hoping if I ignored it long enough, she'd give up and find somewhere else to crash. But my sister's voice, thick with tears, pierced through the walls of my peaceful apartment. "Amara, please, I need you. He kicked me out." I'm Amara, and this is the third time this year I've been woken up by my disaster of a sister after one of her relationships imploded. Each time, our parents insisted I take her in, claiming family should always be there for each other. Easy for them to say. They lived 2 states away. Dragging myself to the door, I found Violet surrounded by hastily packed bags, mascara streaking down her face. "He's such a jerk. How could he do this to me?" she wailed, pushing past me into my apartment before I could even respond. "What happened this time?" I asked, already regretting the question as she launched into a dramatic retelling of her latest breakup. Something about him being controlling, her being misunderstood, the usual script. My phone buzzed. Mom, of course. "Honey, your sister just texted me. You're letting her stay with you, right?" "Mum, I have work in the morning. My apartment barely fits one person." "Amara." She cut me off, her voice taking on that guilt-inducing tone I knew too well. "She's your sister. You can't leave her with nowhere to go." I watched as Violet sprawled across my couch, already making herself at home, her bags creating obstacles in my meticulously organised living room. "Fine, but just for a few days." "You're an angel," Mum said, hanging up before I could protest further. The next morning, I woke to find my bathroom looking like a cosmetic store had exploded inside it. Violet's makeup, hair products and wet towels covered every surface. The clean freak in me died a little. "Sorry about the mess," Violet called from the kitchen. "I'll clean it up later. By the way, I used the last of your coffee." I gripped the counter, counting to 10. "Violet, I need that coffee for work and I just bought it yesterday." "Don't be so uptight, I'll buy you more eventually." She was scrolling through her phone, already oblivious to my frustration. "Oh, and Mum and Dad said they'll help with some rent money while I'm here." "While you're here, how long are you planning to stay?" She looked up, her eyes wide and innocent. "Just until I get back on my feet. A month, tops. You won't even notice I'm here." 1 month. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I grabbed my phone and retreated to my bedroom, dialing Faith's number. "Let me guess," my best friend answered. "Hurricane Violet has made landfall?" "Faith, I can't do this again. She's already taken over my bathroom, used all my coffee, and now she's talking about staying for a month." "So tell her no, it's your apartment." I laughed bitterly. "You know it's not that simple. Mum and Dad will never let me hear the end of it if I kick her out." "Girl, you need to stand up for yourself. This is getting ridiculous." Before I could respond, a crash came from the kitchen, followed by Violet's voice. "Don't worry, nothing important broke." I peeked out to see my favourite mug in pieces on the floor, the one I'd bought during my solo trip to Seattle last year, my first real act of independence. "It was just that plain blue one," Violet said, barely looking up from her phone. "I'll get you another one from the dollar store." That evening, I called my parents to voice my concerns. Dad answered, his voice tired. "Sweetie, you know how sensitive your sister is right now. She needs support, not criticism." "But Dad, she's completely taking over my space. She doesn't respect my things, my schedule, my—" "Mara," Mum's voice cut in. She must have been on speaker. "Why are you always so hard on your sister? She's going through a difficult time. You need to be more understanding." I ended the call, feeling deflated, unheard, and increasingly angry. Standing in my kitchen, watching Violet chat animatedly on her phone about her ex while surrounded by the mess she'd created in less than 24 hours, something inside me snapped. I needed an escape plan, not just from this situation, but from this entire dynamic. As I cleaned up the remains of my broken mug, a thought began to take shape, one that would change everything. My sister might have invaded my space, but she had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one you should watch out for, and I was done being the family doormat. 2 weeks into Violet's stay, and my morning routine had become an obstacle course. I tiptoed around her sleeping form on my couch, trying to reach the kitchen without waking her. Not that it mattered. She'd sleep through an earthquake. My phone buzzed with a text from Faith. "Coffee before work? You sound like you need it." "God, yes. Meet you at Joe's in 20." I was reaching for my keys when Violet stirred. "Where are you going?" she mumbled, her voice thick with sleep. "Work," I replied curtly, "but it's only 7:30. She sat up, her hair a mess. "Oh, can you spot me some cash? I'm meeting the girls for lunch later." I froze, my hand on the doorknob. "Violet, this is the 3rd time this week. What happened to the money Mum and Dad sent?" She waved dismissively. "I had to buy some new clothes. My ex kept most of mine when he kicked me out." She batted her eyes. "Please, I'll pay you back when I get a job." "And when exactly will that be?" "Don't start," she groaned. "I'm still processing my breakup. Mum says I need time to heal." Of course she did. I slammed the door harder than necessary on my way out. Faith was already waiting at our usual table, 2 steaming cups in front of her. One look at my face and she knew. Spill it. She's not even looking for work, Faith. She just sits around all day, watching Netflix on my account, eating my food and asking for money. I wrapped my hands around the warm cup. And my parents keep enabling her. Have you told them how bad it's getting? I pulled out my phone, showing Faith my recent text conversation with Mom. Me. Violet's been here 2 weeks and hasn't even looked at job listings. Mum. She's fragile right now, sweetie. Don't push her. Me. She's using all my savings. I can't keep supporting her. Mum. We'll send more money. Just be patient with your sister. Faith's eyes narrowed. This is ridiculous. You're not her personal ATM. Try telling that to my family. I stirred my coffee absently. Yesterday she had friends over without asking. They raided my wine collection, the good stuff I was saving for special occasions. And you said nothing? I tried, but then she started crying about how I'm the only one who understands her, how she has nowhere else to go. I slumped in my chair. Mum called me heartless when I complained. Faith leaned forward. You know what your problem is? You're too nice. Your family walks all over you because they know you'll never say no. What choice do I have? There's always a choice, Amara. You just need to be creative about it. Back at my apartment that evening, I found Violet had reorganized my living room to make space for her yoga mat. My bookshelf was pushed into a corner and my plants were clustered haphazardly by the window. What happened to my living room? I needed space to center myself, Violet said from her yoga pose. Your furniture arrangement was blocking my chakras. My phone rang, Dad this time. Hey, sweetheart, your mother tells me you're giving Violet a hard time about money. I stepped into my bedroom, closing the door. Dad, she's not even trying to find work. She's just... Now, Amara, you know your sister processes things differently than you do. She's always been more sensitive. And I've always been the responsible one who has to fix everything, I snapped. Silence on the other end. Then, we raised you better than this attitude, young lady. After hanging up, I sat on my bed, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The girl looking back at me seemed tired, defeated, but somewhere in her eyes there was a spark of something else. Determination. I opened my laptop and started searching. First for freelance writing gigs. I'd always been good with words. Then real estate listings for small houses or cottages outside the city. My savings wouldn't last long with Violet burning through them, but maybe I could build something of my own. A message popped up on LinkedIn, someone named Martin Young looking for a content writer for his tech startup. The pay was decent, and I could do it alongside my regular job. As I typed my response, I heard Violet in the kitchen, probably making another mess I'd have to clean up. But for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Let her think she had the upper hand. Let my parents think I was the unreasonable one. They had no idea what was coming. I hit send on the message to Martin, then opened a new document. Title: Exit Strategy. Your content is exactly what we're looking for, Martin said, his face earnest on my laptop screen during our video call. How soon can you start? I glanced at my closed bedroom door, beyond which Violet was watching reality TV at full volume. I can begin tonight. Perfect. I'll send over the contract and first batch of assignments. After ending the call, I pulled out my secret spreadsheet. 3 weeks of freelance work had already added a decent chunk to my savings, but I needed more. The cottage I'd found online, a tiny but charming place an hour outside the city, was perfect, remote enough that my family wouldn't stumble across it, but close enough that I could keep my day job. A crash from the kitchen made me wince. "Don't worry," Violet called out. "It was just a plate. Just a plate, just like it was just my coffee mug, just my wine collection, just my savings." I took a deep breath and opened my bedroom door. The kitchen looked like a war zone. Violet stood amid scattered ingredients, attempting what appeared to be baking. "I'm making cookies for my Instagram. Want to help?" "I have work to do." "You're always working lately," she pouted. "Mum says you're becoming a hermit." Of course she'd been talking to Mum about me. Someone has to pay the bills. Speaking of bills, Violet wiped her hands on my good kitchen towel. "I kind of maxed out my credit card. Could you—" "No." She blinked, surprised by my firm tone. "But—" I said, "No, Violet. Figure it out yourself." Her lower lip trembled. "I can't believe you're being so mean when I'm going through such a difficult time." She pulled out her phone, presumably to call our parents. I retreated to my room, locking the door just as my phone started ringing. Declining Mum's call, I focused on Martin's first assignment. Each word I wrote was another $1 toward my freedom. Hours later, Faith's text pulled me from my work. "Drinks? You sound like you need them." At the bar, I showed Faith the cottage listing on my phone. "It needs work, but it's within my budget if I keep up the freelancing." "Holy shit, you're really doing this?" Faith's eyes widened. "What will your family say?" "They won't know until it's done. That's the point." She squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you, but also a little scared for you. Your family's going to lose it. They lost me a long time ago. They just haven't realized it yet." Returning home, I found my apartment full of people. Music blasted from my speakers, and unfamiliar faces crowded my living room. "Full surprise!" Violet bounced over. "I'm hosting a little get-together. Everyone, this is my sister." "Get them out," I said through gritted teeth. "Don't be such a buzzkill. It's just a few friends." "A few friends?" I gestured to the crowd. "There are at least 20 people here." 25, actually, someone helpfully corrected. I spotted empty wine bottles, my remaining good wine, and shoes scuffing my walls. Someone had spilled something red on my cream-coloured rug. "That's it!" I unplugged the speakers. "Party's over! Everyone out!" "You can't do that," Violet protested. "These are my friends." "This is my apartment." My voice rose above the confused murmurs. "Everyone who doesn't live here needs to leave, now." As people filtered out, Violet's face turned stormy. "I can't believe you're embarrassing me like this. Wait until Mum hears—" "Go ahead, call Mom. Tell her how I ruined your unauthorized party in the apartment I pay for. The apartment you're living in rent-free while maxing out credit cards and contributing nothing." She stared at me, shocked by my outburst. "What's happened to you? You used to be nice." "I'm still nice. I'm just done being a doormat." Later that night, after Violet had cried herself to sleep on my couch, I opened my laptop. Martin had sent more assignments, and the pay was better than expected. I updated my spreadsheet. I was closer to my goal than I'd thought. My phone lit up with text from Mom. "Your sister is crying." "Why are you being so difficult?" "Call me immediately." I turned off my phone and kept working. Let them think I was the villain. Soon they'd learn that their difficult daughter had been planning her great escape all along. The cottage listing glowed on my second screen, a beacon of hope. 2 more months of this, and I'd be free. I just had to keep my plan hidden until then. I was on another video call with Martin when I smelled smoke. Jumping up from my desk, I rushed to the kitchen to find Violet frantically waving a dish towel at my smoking toaster oven. I only looked away for a minute, she cried as I yanked the plug from the wall. The remains of what might have been toast sat inside, now resembling charcoal. Smoke detectors began blaring throughout the building. "What were you thinking?" I shouted over the noise. "You could have burned down the whole building." "I was trying to make breakfast." Tears welled in her eyes. "I thought if I made you something nice, you'd stop being so cold lately." The building manager appeared at my door, which Violet had left open in her panic. "Everything okay in here, ladies?" "Just a small kitchen accident," I said, forcing a calm tone. "We've got it under control." After he left and the alarms were silenced, I returned to my room to find 3 missed calls from Martin. Great. "I am so sorry," I said when I called him back. "There was a small emergency." "I heard," he chuckled. "Listen, I've been meaning to talk to you about something. Your work has been exceptional, and I'd like to offer you a more permanent position. Remote work, better pay, full benefits." My heart skipped. "Are you serious?" "Completely. You've got a real talent, Amara, and—" He hesitated. "I couldn't help but overhear some of your background chaos. Sounds like you could use a change of scene." I glanced at my spreadsheet. With this new position, I could afford the cottage much sooner. "When can I start?" That evening, Faith drove me to view the cottage in person. It was smaller than it looked in photos, but something about its weathered blue shutters and wraparound porch called to me. "Oh, it's perfect," I breathed, walking through the rooms. The realtor, an older woman named Patricia, smiled knowingly. "It needs some TLC," she said, "but the bones are good, and it's private, no nosy neighbours." Faith raised an eyebrow at me. "Your family would never think to look for you here." "That's the point." Back at my apartment, I found Violet in tears on the phone. "Mum, she's never here anymore. She's always working or going out, and she barely talks to me." I slammed my bedroom door, but her voice carried through. "I think she hates me. You should hear how she talks to me. No, I can't get my own place yet. I'm not ready. Yes, I know you sent money, but—" My phone buzzed, Dad calling. I declined it and texted Martin instead. "When can we discuss that job offer?" A knock at my door. "Amara," Violet's voice was small. "Can we talk?" I opened the door to find her makeup streaked with tears. "What?" "I'm sorry about this morning, and the party, and everything." She twisted her hands together. "I know I'm not the easiest person to live with." For a moment I felt a twinge of guilt. Then I remembered the smoke, the broken mug, the maxed-out credit cards, the endless drama. "Sorry doesn't fix things, Violet. It never has." "But I'm trying. I applied for a job today." I looked at her sharply. "Really? Where?" "Well, I looked at some listings. I'm thinking about applying." She brightened. "Maybe we could look together, make it a sister thing." "I have work to do." Her face fell. "You always have work these days. Mum says—" "I don't care what Mum says." The words exploded out of me. "I don't care about your latest drama, or your feelings, or your endless excuses. I'm done carrying you." Silence fell between us. Violet stared at me like she'd never seen me before. "You really have changed," she whispered. "No, I've just stopped pretending." She fled to the living room, already dialing Mum's number. I returned to my laptop, where an email from Martin waited with the job contract attached. My phone lit up with Mum's message. "We need to talk about your attitude. Your father and I are coming this weekend." Perfect. Let them come. By then, I'd have the cottage paperwork ready, the job contract signed, and my escape plan nearly complete. I opened my banking app, checking my savings one more time. Almost there. Almost free. From the living room, I could hear Violet's muffled sobs and her voice saying, "She's so mean now, Mum. I don't know what happened to her." What happened was that I finally woke up, and soon they'd all realised that their quiet, accommodating Amara wasn't just changing, she was disappearing completely. I signed Martin's contract and emailed it back. Then I pulled up Patricia's number. Time to make an offer on my ticket to freedom. The keys to the cottage felt heavy in my pocket as I sat through another family dinner. Mum and Dad had arrived earlier that day, bringing their special brand of guilt-tripping with them. "I just don't understand why you're being so harsh with your sister," Mum said, passing the salad. "She's trying her best." I pushed food around my plate, thinking of the signed papers hidden in my desk drawer. "Is she? Because from where I'm sitting, her best looks a lot like doing nothing." "I got an interview," Violet protested. "It's next week at that boutique downtown." "The same boutique you said was beneath you last month?" I couldn't help asking. "Amara?" Dad's voice held a warning tone. "What's gotten into you lately? You're not acting like yourself." If they only knew how right they were. "I'm just tired," I said, standing to clear my plate. "I have work to do." "Always working," Mum sighed. "No wonder you're so irritable. You need to relax more, spend time with family." I escaped to my room, leaving them to their concerned murmurs. My phone buzzed with a text from Faith. "How's the family invasion going?" "Kill me now," I replied, "but the cottage is officially mine, closing next week." "Oh, congratulations. When are you telling them?" "When everything's ready. Soon." A knock at my door. "Amara?" It was Dad. "Can we talk?" I quickly closed my messages. "Come in." He sat on my bed, looking uncomfortable. "Your mother and I are worried about you. This attitude, all this extra work. It's not like you. Maybe you don't know what I'm like anymore. We're your parents. Of course we know you." He paused. "We think maybe you're dealing with some depression. We found a therapist." "I don't need a therapist!" I stood up, anger bubbling over. "What I need is for everyone to stop treating me like I'm the problem." "Sweetheart, no, you all act like I'm being unreasonable, but have you once, just once, considered that maybe I'm right, that maybe Violet needs to grow up and take responsibility for her life?" His face hardened. "Your sister is spoiled, and you and Mom made her that way." The words hung in the air between us. Dad stood slowly, shaking his head. "I don't like what's happening to you, Amara. This isn't the daughter we raised." After he left, I heard them all in the living room, discussing me in hushed voices. I opened my laptop to distract myself with work, but a message from Martin popped up. "How's the secret move planning going?" I smiled despite myself. Martin had become an unexpected ally over the past weeks, offering advice and flexibility with work hours to accommodate my plans. "Parents are here. They think I need therapy because I'm not enabling my sister anymore." "Sounds like you're making the right decision then. Need any help with the move?" A crash from the living room made me jump. I opened my door to find Violet had knocked over my bookshelf while rearranging again. "Sorry," she called out, "but honestly, this spot works better for feng shui." Mum was already helping her pick up books. "See, she's trying to make the space nicer for both of you." I closed the door and leaned against it, typing back to Martin. "Thanks, I might take you up on that." The next morning, I left early for work, actually heading to the cottage to meet the inspector. As I pulled up to the little blue house, something in my chest loosened. Soon, this would be my sanctuary. "Everything looks good," the inspector said after a thorough check. "Just needs some minor repairs, but nothing serious." I walked through the rooms again, already planning where my furniture would go. My phone buzzed repeatedly, Mom asking where I was, why I'd left without saying goodbye. Standing in what would be my new bedroom, I finally replied, "Had an early meeting. Talk later." Then I turned my phone off and sat on the window seat, watching birds hop around the overgrown garden. For the first time in months, I could breathe freely. The peace was shattered when I returned home that evening. Violet had been going through my room. I could tell by the slightly moved papers on my desk, the drawer that wasn't quite closed. "Looking for something?" I asked from the doorway, making her jump. I needed to borrow a sweater." Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Where were you all day? Mum and Dad were worried." "Working?" I moved to my desk, checking that the cottage papers were still safely hidden. "No, you weren't," she said quietly. "I called your office. They said you took the day off." Our eyes met in the mirror, and for a moment I saw real fear in hers. She knew something was coming. She just didn't know what. "You're hiding something," Violet said, following me into the kitchen the next morning. "I know you are." I poured my coffee, ignoring her. The moving company was scheduled for next week, and I'd already started secretly packing essentials in my car during my lunch breaks. "Mum and Dad think you're having some kind of breakdown, but that's not it, is it?" She blocked my path. "You're planning something. Move." "No." Her chin lifted defiantly. "Not until you tell me what's going on." "Fine." I set my mug down hard enough to slosh coffee onto the counter. "You want to know what's going on? I'm tired. I'm tired of being everyone's safety net. I'm tired of being the responsible one who has to fix everything while you get to play the eternal victim." Her face crumpled. "That's not fair." "Isn't it? When was the last time you paid for anything? When was the last time you actually followed through on a job interview? When was the last time you thought about anyone but yourself?" "I think about you." Tears started flowing. "I worry about you. You're so angry lately, so distant." "Because you're suffocating me." The words exploded out of me. "You and Mum and Dad, you're all suffocating me with your expectations and guilt and endless demands." She stepped back, startled by my outburst. I should call Mum." "Of course you should. That's what you always do, isn't it? Run to Mum and Dad whenever something doesn't go your way." My phone started ringing. "Faith." "Don't answer that," Violet said quickly. "We need to talk about this." I answered anyway, putting it on speaker out of spite. "Hey." "The moving company called," Faith said. "They can come tomorrow instead of next week if you're ready." Violet's eyes widened. "Moving company?" "That would be perfect," I said, staring directly at my sister. "I'm more than ready." "Amara?" Violet's voice shook. "What's going on?" I hung up and faced her. "I bought a house. I'm moving out. And no, you can't come with me." "You... What? But where? When?" "Soon, and you don't need to know where." She grabbed her phone, hands trembling. "Mum needs to hear about this." "Go ahead. Call her. It won't change anything." She did exactly that, voice rising hysterically as she told our mother what she'd discovered. Within minutes, my phone was blowing up with calls and texts from both parents. I turned my phone off and went to work, leaving Violet in tears on the couch. At the office, I emailed my resignation letter, then called Martin. "Everything okay?" he asked. "You sound stressed." "They know something's up. Not everything, but enough." I rubbed my temples. "Can I start the remote work sooner than planned?" "Of course. Want to tell me what's really going on?" So I did. Told him everything. The years of being the family fixer, the constant drain on my resources and energy, the suffocation of always being the responsible one. "You're doing the right thing," he said when I finished. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for people is let them face consequences. When I got home that evening, Mum and Dad's car was parked outside. I'd expected this. They were all waiting in my living room, Mum pacing, Dad looking grave, Violet curled up in an armchair. "Sit down," Mum commanded. "We need to talk about this ridiculous behaviour." I remained standing. "There's nothing to talk about. I'm moving. End of story." "You can't just abandon your sister." Mum's voice rose. "She needs you." "No, she needs to grow up, and you need to stop enabling her." Dad stood up. "Watch your tone, young lady." "Or what? You'll ground me. I'm an adult. I pay my own bills. I make my own choices." "Clearly not good ones," Mum snapped. "This isn't like you, Amara. The daughter we raised would never—" "The daughter you raised is gone," I shouted. "She disappeared somewhere between the 10th time she had to bail out her sister and the 100th time you dismissed her feelings." Silence fell. Violet was crying again. Mum looked like I'd slapped her. Dad just seemed lost. "The moving company comes tomorrow," I said into the quiet. "You can either accept that or you can leave now. Either way, I'm done." "If you do this," Mum said, her voice shaking, "if you abandon your family like this, don't expect us to be there when you realise your mistake." I looked at each of them. My enabling parents, my sobbing sister, all the people who'd taken and taken until I had nothing left to give. That's the point, I said softly. I don't expect anything from any of you anymore. The moving truck arrived at 8 the next morning. Mum, Dad and Violet were still there, watching in stunned silence as I directed the movers to pack up my belongings. You can't take the couch, Violet said suddenly. Where am I supposed to sleep? Not my problem anymore. I checked items off my list as the movers worked. The apartment lease ends in 2 weeks. You should start looking for your own place. Mum stepped forward. Amara, please, let's talk about this rationally. We're way past talking. At least tell us where you're going. She grabbed my arm. We're your family. I pulled away. Being family doesn't give you the right to control my life. Faith arrived with coffee and breakfast sandwiches for everyone, including the movers. My parents watched her suspiciously. You knew about this? Dad accused. Of course I knew. Faith handed me a coffee. Someone had to help her plan her escape from this toxic situation. Toxic? Mum's voice rose. How dare you? We've done nothing but support. Support, I laughed. Is that what you call this? Showing up uninvited, trying to guilt me into staying, enabling Violet's behaviour? I'm right here, Violet shouted. Stop talking about me like I'm not here. Oh, now you want to be heard? I turned to her. What about all the times I needed to be heard? When I told you I couldn't afford to keep supporting you? When I asked you to respect my space? When I begged Mum and Dad to stop dismissing my feelings? The movers paused their work, clearly uncomfortable with the family drama unfolding. Keep going, I told them. We're fine here. Fine? Dad stepped forward. This is not fine. This is a consequence, Faith finished for him. This is what happens when you push someone too far. Mum started crying, her go-to manipulation tactic. I don't understand why you're being so cruel. We've given you everything. No, I said quietly. You've taken everything. My peace, my savings, my space, my voice, but not anymore. The movers finished loading the truck. My apartment looked bare now, with only Violet's things scattered around like debris after a storm. Last chance, I said, picking up my final box. You can either accept that I'm leaving and work on building a healthier relationship with me, or you can keep trying to control me and lose me completely. That's not a fair choice, Violet protested. Life isn't fair. You of all people should know that, since you use it as an excuse for everything. Dad put his arm around Mom, who was still crying. If you walk out that door, don't expect us to welcome you back when this rebellion of yours fails. It's not a rebellion, Dad. It's a liberation. Faith took the box from my hands. I'll put this in your car. Take your time. I looked around the apartment one last time. So many memories, most of them tainted by resentment now. The rent is paid through the end of the month, I told Violet. After that, you're on your own. You can't do this to me. She grabbed my sleeve. I'm your sister. I need you. No, you need to grow up. I gently removed her hand. Maybe without me to fall back on, you finally will. Mum stepped between us. If you leave like this, don't bother calling for holidays or birthdays or... Mum, I interrupted, you're not hearing me. I'm not leaving to punish you. I'm leaving to save myself. I walked to the door, where Faith waited with my car keys. Amara! Violet's voice cracked. Please! I turned one last time. I do love you all, but I love myself more. The drive to my new home was quiet. Faith followed behind the moving truck, and I could see Martin's car already parked outside the cottage when we arrived. He'd offered to help set up my home office. As the movers unloaded my belongings, my phone buzzed with texts. Mum, I hope you're happy with yourself. Violet, I can't believe you're doing this to me. Dad, your mother is heartbroken. I thought we raised you better. Faith read them over my shoulder. Want me to block their numbers for you? No. I put my phone away. Let them vent. They'll either learn to respect my boundaries or prove that I made the right choice. Martin walked up with a housewarming gift, a new blue coffee mug. To replace the one that started all this, he said with a smile. I took the mug, feeling the weight of it in my hands. It wasn't the same as the one Violet broke, but maybe that was the point. Sometimes things need to break completely before something better can take their place. "Ready to start setting up your new life?" Faith asked. I looked at my cottage, my freedom, my future. More than ready. The autumn breeze rustled through my garden as I sipped coffee on my porch. My phone buzzed, a text from Faith. "Check your email, now." I opened my inbox to find a forwarded message from Violet to Faith. "I know you're still in contact with my sister. I need you to tell her something. I got a job, a real one, at a marketing firm. I'm renting my own apartment. I've been seeing a therapist. I understand now why she left, and I'm sorry, really sorry. Could you let her know?" My hands shook slightly as I called Faith. "Did you verify this?" I asked when she answered. "Already did. She's telling the truth. The job's legit. I checked LinkedIn. She's been there 3 months. I sat with this information, watching a squirrel scamper across my garden wall. "Have you heard anything from my parents?" "Nothing new. Still posting passive-aggressive Facebook statuses about ungrateful children." The doorbell rang. Martin, right on time for our weekly project meeting. These had evolved from pure work sessions to something more personal, though neither of us had put a label on it yet. "Need to go," I told Faith. "Talk later." I opened the door to find Martin holding 2 paper bags. "Brought lunch. You okay? You look thoughtful." I showed him Violet's email while we unpacked sandwiches at my kitchen table. He read it twice before speaking. "What are you thinking?" "I don't know." I picked at my sandwich. "Part of me wants to believe she's changed. Another part remembers all the times she promised to change before. The difference is, this time she had no choice." He reached for my hand. "You gave her that gift even though it hurt." My phone rang. An unknown number. I almost declined it until I recognized the area code. "Hello?" "Amara." It was Violet, but her voice sounded different, steadier. "Please don't hang up. Faith gave me your number." I shot Martin a panicked look. He squeezed my hand and stood to give me privacy, but I held on to him. "I'm here," I said. "I've been writing this speech in therapy for weeks," Violet said, "but now I can't remember any of it. I get it now. What you did, why you did it." "Do you?" "Yeah, after you left, everything fell apart. Mum and Dad tried to let me move back home, but they had conditions this time. Job hunting, therapy, budgeting classes. I was so angry at first. At you, at them, at everyone. But my therapist helped me see. I was really angry at myself. I closed my eyes. Violet, no, please let me finish. You were right, about everything. I was suffocating you because I was too scared to stand on my own. But I'm standing now. I have a job, an apartment, even a savings account." I heard. "I'm not asking for anything," she said quickly. "I just wanted you to know that you're leaving. It saved me. It saved all of us, really. Mum and Dad are in counselling too." That surprised me. "Really?" "Yeah, they're not ready to admit they were wrong yet, but they're working on it. Dad actually said no to me last week when I asked to borrow money. It was weird, but good weird." Martin had started absently stroking my hair, and I leaned into his touch. "I miss you," Violet said softly. "But I understand if you're not ready to have me in your life again." I thought about my peaceful cottage, my flourishing career, my growing relationship with Martin, the life I'd built for myself. "I'm not ready for a full relationship," I said carefully. "But maybe we could start with coffee, somewhere public, just us." "Really?" Her voice cracked. "I'd like that." After we hung up, I let out a long breath. Martin pulled me into a hug. "Proud of you," he murmured into my hair. "For what?" "For holding your boundaries while still leaving the door open a crack. That's strength." Later that evening, I sat in my garden, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. My phone lit up with a text from Mom, the first direct contact in months. "Your sister told us she spoke to you. I'm not ready to talk yet, but I want you to know I'm trying to understand. We're trying." I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. Some bridges need to burn completely before they can be rebuilt. Others just need time, space, and the courage to stand firm while the foundation settles. Martin appeared at my garden gate with takeout and a bottle of wine. Faith's car pulled up behind him, our regular Wednesday dinner. This was my family now, the one I chose, the one I built. And maybe, someday, there would be room for the others too, not as they were, but as who they were becoming. For now, though, I was exactly where I needed to be, free, strong, and finally, completely at peace.